Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Build an RPG. Today we're going to be working on changing up our character creation screen. That is just something that needs to get done, and this is going to be a couple of segments actually. It's going to be a couple of videos. There's a lot that has to be done, and so this is just going to be the first part. And so let's just dive right into it. First thing we want to do though is before we even hit with that, we have an error that we're going to be seeing here. If we click F8, we can see that we're getting all these errors here. And these errors are occurring because if we scroll down to here, where we see we're trying to find the game objects rather, these do not exist in the character creation screen. So to fix this, we're just going to create a simple statement, if statement, just to check the scene. So just before we start that, though, we need to make sure we are using scene management, which we have not. So we're going to be using in our character UI script, which you can just double click under scripts in your project folder to open up character UI under scripting. You want to do using Unity engine dot scene management. Now we can use the scene management library, and we can start seeing if we are in that scene. So if we do if, and our condition is this, and then this is going to be what happens if that if statement is correct. Just going to scoot all these over, and the statement is going to be if scene manager dot get active scene is not equal to scene manager dot get scene by name, and then the name of the creation screen, which we have called creation screen. So now that should just resolve that error that we're getting. So if we go ahead and pull up Unity here, if we click play, we don't want to go to our console, clear out everything, just do some tests, assign some random values, begin adventure, and if we click F8, we are no longer getting those errors. So the next thing we want to do now is we've been using in our character scripts here, we've been using, where is it? Main character info. So if we look at main character info, you can see that we're using player preferences a lot. We want to make this a little bit more secure, and we're going to be using the file system. And we're going to be saving our player data and files and app data. But we're also going to be wanting to have the ability to have multiple characters. So this player press is just mainly just for preferences. So we shouldn't really be using this for our resources and abilities and everything. So we need to switch away from that. But it's really easy just to go into registry and edit this. And it's still possible that someone can edit the file that we're going to be creating, but it's just a little bit more difficult. And if this was to be more secure, there'd be better ways to go about doing this, but that's a little bit beyond this video and what we're doing here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get this set up where we're going to be using our file system. If we go to Unity, inside our scripting folder, we're going to create a new C# script. And we are going to call it character data. That's done. We're going to double click it, and we are going to open it in Monodevelop. Alright, so in character develop, we're going to need a few things because since we're going to be using Unity, not Unity, we're going to be using the file system of the operating system. And what we're going to be doing is going to work on all platforms except for the web, because we can't write to the file systems on the webs. We're using 4 additional libraries here. So we're going to be using system, using system.io, which is input output, using system, this is a long one, system.runtime.serialization.formatters.binary. And our last one is just going to be using the Unity scene management, which we might not get to in this video. Unity engine.scene management. So the very first thing we want to do here is we're going to be creating our variables here. We're just going to be replicating our previous variables like strength, defense, dexterity, sanity, all the stuff that we created here. We're just going to make it a little bit cleaner. So we're going to do public, because these are all going to be publicly accessible, integer. We're going to tab over 3 times, so that'd be good. Strength, defense, dexterity, sanity, reflex, level, and exp. I want these spaces. I'm a little bit picky about that, just a little bit. That looks nice. Next, we need to have our character name, such as a string, so public string, and we'll tab out or just space out to line up everything here. Do character name, and that is good. So one thing we want to do is, with how we're going to be doing this, we're going to need to keep this data persistent. And so we're going to create a manager, like a data manager, that's just going to be persistent throughout our game. We kind of already have that now with a manager that we have here. It's called manager. We're just going to be doing this a little bit in a different way. So we're going to be creating a new manager here that's going to be referencing this script. And that's going to just be something that we load onto our game object, and we keep it persistent so we can access this information throughout our entire game. We have something similar here already with manager, but we're just going to do it in a little bit of a different way here. So we're going to do public static character data, which is the name of the script that we are in. We're going to call this manager. Okay, so now we're going to create a we're going to access a new function here. It's going to be called void awake, which happens before the game starts. We're just going to do the brackets and everything. What we're going to do, we're going to check to see if the manager has been set. We're going to see if this has been set. And if it has been set already, we're going to destroy it, and then we're going to create a new one. So if manager is equal to null, as in it calls back nothing, it's empty. What we're going to do is we're going to say don't destroy on load this game object that this is attached to, and manager now equals this. However, if manager for some reason does exist and it is not this game object, we just type this, then we want to destroy it. Destroy game object. So right now we shouldn't be having any errors. If we go to our console, we should just check. It's good to always check for errors. You're having none. So what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and create 2 scripts, one for saving our game and one for loading our game. So we're going to go past our void update script, and we're going to just space down a little bit. We're going to do public void save game, and public void load game. So in our save game function, we're going to need to access a binary formatter. So we're going to do binary formatter. We're just going to call it BF for short. It's going to equal a new binary formatter. Takes nothing. Now we got to access the file stream. So we're going to create a new file, which is going to be what all of our data is going to be saved to. So we're going to do file stream dot. We're going to call this player save file. It's going to equal file dot create. So we're going to be using something called application dot persistent data path, which is just something that's already been predetermined by Unity. And that's for Windows, it's going to be located in like your app data folder. I think it's called like local low or something. I forget exactly which folder it is, but that's where this file is going to be existing. And we're going to go ahead and add something else to the path. We're going to do plus, we're going to do a / instances games in development. I kind of want to sort all these files, so we're just going to call this ndev, period. And then we're going to do space add. We're going to type character name, plus period dat. So just to what this is going to look like is in the Windows folder. When you look for this file, it's going to be located in whatever folder. So the file is going to be called ndev. That whatever character name we created. Let's just say it was player name.dat. And so that's the name of the file, and we can load this. So that's just what it's going to look like. So now what we want to do is we have to create a new class outside of this class right here, character data. And this is going to store all of our player data. So we're going to do class all player data. And what we can do now in this class is we can just go up here to these variables that we created, copy them, just the names, paste them. One important thing we have to do though with this class is this data needs to be serializable so we can use the binary folder and save everything correctly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just type serializable right before the class. So that's great. So now if we go back to our save a game function, we're going to do a couple of spaces. We're going to do all player data. And then we're just going to call it data. It's going to equal new all player data. That takes nothing and that. So what we're going to do now is we have to access all of our variables here and save them here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to say data.strength, which is the data value that's going to be in the file. It's going to equal strength, which is our local variable, whatever it could be 10. So this by default is going to be 0. But say in the game it's 10, then when we save it, this is going to become 10 data.strength. We need to do data.defense equals defense. Data.dexterity equals dexterity. Data.sanity equals sanity. Data.reflex equals reflex. Data.level equals level. Data.exp equals exp. Data.character name equals character name. I'm so lazy trying to find that. So now we want to serialize all of this data to our file. So we're going to type bf.serialize player save file, which is what we just go away. Was what we just did here. This is the name of the file, and we want all of our data in there. So once we've done that, we want to close our file because we do not need to keep it open. So we're going to do player save file dot close to those, and we're done. So this script here will save our data to a file. So just to test that, it'd be kind of hard to test this right now just because of what we've done. So what we'll do is simply just real fast and void it with, let's say, character name equals test. You don't have to do this. I'm going to be undoing what I'm doing right here. But we're going to go ahead and just do create an empty game object. We're going to throw our character data on there. And we're just going to call it and void awake our save game function. So when we start this game, actually, before we even start this game, I want to just show you all something. By default, Unity is going to save your stuff called in a it's called default company folder. And I'm just going to show you all how to set your own company name. It can be whatever you want, but just real fast, we're going to do edit, project settings, and we're looking for player. Over here we see default company and the name of my project. I call it Code Together. I'm just going to name the company Davison Inc. I don't know. That's not a real company. And the product name was, let's call this like RPG-ish. That'll be the name of this. So you'll see what this all has to do. Davison Inc. is the company, and the name of our product is called RPG-ish. So if we run the script now, play the game, we can see in character creation, we have the don't destroy on load. It has our empty game object that we created and our character name named test. So if we open up our file explorer, so to make sure, let's see, where's, open on my other monitor. If we open our hard drive, if we go to users, go to your current user, and you go to app data, local low, and we're looking for Davison Inc. That is the company that we just created. And there's our product we just created. And look, we have our ndev.test.dat. So test was the character name and everything else is here. So that is our data folder. All right. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to work on launching the game. Before I do that, I'm going to go back to our scene here and just delete this game object. So we do not need that for now. And we're going to go ahead and delete character name and save game. And we're going to go to our load game function. And what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if this file exists. We're just going to copy this because we're going to need that anyways. It's a long file name. So we're going to say if, here's the condition, this is what happens when the condition is met. So if file.exists, and that's our file right there. So if that exists, we're going to do a lot of the similar things that we just did up there. We're going to create a new binary formatter. So I just copy and pasted that. And we're going to do another file stream. We're going to be editing this bit. File stream.player save file. It's going to be file.open instead of create. And then here, after dat, we need to add another parameter. And we're going to do file mode dot open. We can get rid of this comment here. Now, similar to what we did up here, is we're going to be wanting to use our data. So we're going to have to create a new data. But instead of creating a new data like we did here, we're just going to be loading our data. But we also have to deserialize it. So what we're going to type is all player data equals all player data bf binary formatter dot deserialize and our player save file. So that's that file. It's been deserialized and we can now access everything. We're going to close that file. So we're going to do this player save file. Player save file dot close. Oh, I forgot a semicolon. Player save file dot close. And now, similar to this, we're just going to be doing all this, but in reverse. So instead of data.strength equals strength, we're going to say a strength, which is our local variable in the game. It's going to equal data.strength, which comes from the file. We're going to do defense equals data.defense. We're going to say dexterity equals data.dexterity. Sanity equals data.sanity. We're going to do reflex equals data.reflex. Level instead. Next level equals data.level. exp equals data.exp. And our last one is character name. Character name equals data.character name. Awesome. So I'm not gonna do the load game function just to show how it works, because I don't really have a need right now for it. That'll be probably in the next video. But what I want to do now is I want to focus on our character creation screen. So if we go to our project here, we're going to want to go to File, Open Scene. And what we are looking for is our, should be in our scenes folder, character creation. So in character creation, it's going to be pretty empty because if we click play, all this stuff is being done by, other than the plane, everything's being done by the script, all this UI stuff, which is not what we want to do, okay? So what we want to do is we're going to delete our manager. We are going to be deleting the manager and character creation for now. I know, it really hurts to do that. But now we just are back to our blank screen. We're going to go ahead and delete that plane. And we're going to find where our camera is. That's good. So we might be in 3D view. I was in 2D view, but just go ahead and go to 2D view. We're going to go ahead and create a new, we're going to create a new UI. We're going to create new canvas. We're going to rename the canvas here to UI, in caps lock, UI character creation. And what we're going to do now is we can just zoom out a little bit, just double click that, it'll be faster. We're going to right click on it, we're going to do UI new panel. In this panel, we're going to rename it to background. BG, and we're just going to set this to a nice black. We're going to change the alpha just to be a little bit like that. It's whatever you want. Alpha is this A value. If you go all the way to 55, it's solid black. 0, it doesn't show. It's just a little bit, maybe like 128 looks nice. If we click play, you can see what it's going to look like. You can see our default skybox here, and it's a little tinted. Now what we're going to want to do is we are going to create a select save UI element. So we're going to do another panel, and we are going to go over here to panel. We're going to remove the background image. We're going to change the color a little bit to be like a darker black, or just so it stands out now. Do like an like a reddish orange. Looks good. I'm gonna save that. We removed all that. So now what we want to do is we want to anchor this, and so this is going to be where we actually have our player select the save games. So we're going to anchor this to the middle of the left of the screen. Go back. We're going to change the width to maybe like 250. It's too much. Too little actually, maybe like 300. Height 300, maybe, no. 500, 400. That looks nice. Let's scoot this over to the edge here. Double click that and zoom in a little bit. Maybe put that like, I kind of want to center that with like the whole UI. You can come off the edge a little bit, but that looks nice. That looks nice. So we click play. You can see it's right here on the orange. It needs to come over a little bit. That looks great. We're going to go here and change the alpha to be like that. So in our panel, we want to create a new UI text. Scoot that up to the top and center it. We're going to change the text here. We're going to call it save game, or not save game, load game. Let's do all capital letters, load game. You can see we can change the font and everything. We'll be doing that another time, but not right now. Scooting that down a little bit. Next, what we want to do is inside our character creation. Make sure it's selected. We want to do UI, and then we want to select scroll view. Okay, we want to bring that over. We want to make sure it's anchored also to the center left, like this element is. Looks nice. Inside of scroll view, make sure scroll view is selected. We want to remove scroll view. We want to remove scroll bar. We want to remove scroll bar horizontal and vertical. So we just highlighted both. We're deleting. Okay. We want to in scroll view make sure it's selected. Where we see horizontal and scroll rect, uncheck that. We might go ahead and make this width a little bit bigger. Maybe 300. 300 looks nice, and that can kind of fill our window. Yeah, that looks nice. Now inside of viewport, we want to select that. Open that. We see content. In content, we want to add a new button. So not over here yet. We want to go to content, right click UI, do button. Inside a button, we want to go ahead and do add an element component. We're going to call it layout. We're looking for layout elements. We want to say min height is going to be 90. We want to go to content. We want to add vertical layout group. And we want to just uncheck all this until let's switch width. And we want to do just find where we can actually see the button. Might be a little bit different for everybody. But like middle center looks nice. And that's centered in the middle. So if we click play now, see our button's nice there in the center. And it fits inside this window. We're going to add some spacing though. We're going to add 10 spacing between every element. And we want to go to padding. Top padding, we want to add, I think minus 20. That's too much, minus 20. That looks good. You're going to have to kind of eyeball it. Minus just moves it up. Having a positive number will move it down because minus means go up. So it's padding from the top of this. That looks nice. And we can change all the colors and everything later. And the last UI thing we're going to want to do is, let's just minimize all this stuff. Is a new UI panel. We are going to anchor it to center on the right screen. Let's get out of that. We want to say maybe the width is going to be like 500. And we'll scoot it over. So to click play, you can see that this is what it's going to look like. Awesome, so this is going to be where we're going to have the player create a new character, and here they'll be able to load a game. So they'll always be presented with the screen. They'll always have the option to create a character or load a game. And if they click F8 to reset, it's going to save, and then they can either create a new character or load one. We'll eventually add deleting functionality, but not right now. Alrighty. So now we got to get into our character creation script that we're going to be creating. So if we go back to our assets folder, we want to go to scripting. We're going to create a new C# script, and we're going to call this character creation. Awesome, we're going to double click it. And in this script, what we're going to want to do is we're going to have to import a whole bunch of libraries like we did in here. Actually, we're going to be using the runtime. We're going to use IO. We're going to be using system. So we'll go ahead and copy those. We are also going to be using Unity engine, not editor, Unity engine .io, not IO, .ui, using Unity engine.events. So we're using 8 libraries here. So what we want to do now is we're going to have to work on our load games. So to do all the loading of the games, so you can select what you want to load, we're going to have a public game object that we can select. It's going to be a prefab that we are looking for, and that's going to be our button. I'll have to show you what to do that in a second. Public transform container. What is the container this stuff is going to be held in? And then we're going to need to reintroduce all of our variables that we did in character data. So just copy this. You have to always indent this over. And the next thing we want to do is we are going to have the skill points. I'm just not going to call them attribute points in here. We're going to keep that a constant. So const integer skill points is going to equal 20. We want to access our character data script that we just created. So we're going to do public character data. And we're just call it char data. So in our start script, we are going to want to do a comment here first. And this is just going to be all for our loading saves via array. So what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and create a new array. But before we do that, we need to remember that where our files are located, and they are located in that application.persistent data path. So we're going to do string array files. It's going to equal directory dot get files. I know where the at symbol is, at application dot persistent data path. And we're just going to do a search for everything that matches this wild card. And we're just going to say .dat. So this will look for any file named .dat. So we got to make sure we have nothing else called .dat or it will be loaded. So for each item in our array, so for each string, we're going to call it save in the files. We're going to do binary formatter. Not dot, just binary formatter bf equals new binary formatter. We're going to do file string player save file equals file dot open save file mode dot open. So what we are doing right now is we are opening each file in this string, and we're going to be extracting some variables from them so we can get variables to display. So like the player name and player level, so the player knows which save to select. We're going to say all player data is going to equal to all player data bf.deserialize. This will look a lot similar to our load script, load function that we just made. Player save file, and then we're going to close it. Player save file close, and we're going to say level equals data level, and character name equals data character name. So we are opening the file here, each file in the array. For each array item, we're opening the file, we're getting the data level and the data for the character name. So now what we want to do is we want to attach this to our game objects that we just created in the UI. So we're going to do game object, geo for shorthand, instantiate, and the prefab that we will be selecting. Game object get component in children. We're going to be looking for the text, and then that will display character name plus level. And so in these quotation marks, we're going to do space, straight line, another space, level, space. So it's going to display like test level 2, whatever, whatever they were, whatever that level of that player was. Then we're going to do GeoGameObject.transform set parent. It's going to be the container. We're going to go ahead and do GameObject.transform local position will equal a new vector 3.0 and GameObject.transform local scale when that equals a new vector 3.1. Now we just want to do GameObject.get component. We're looking for button. We're going to say onClick. We're going to add a listener. And we're going to create a new function in a second called onButtonClick. We're just going to say this for now. And what we're going to do is just type save in here. So we're going to pass it save. So we're going to scroll down a little bit past our void update function. We're going to do public void on button click string. We're going to call the variable index just for quickly. We're just going to debug log it. Debug log index. So we'll see if the file is being loaded when it is clicked on. So we want to go back to Unity, check our console. Hopefully we don't have any errors. So far nothing's been reported. We want to go to our project folder, and inside our scripting, we have manager. We're going to look at this button. We're going to drag it in here, save. It's now a prefab, and we're going to delete it out of our script here. All right, so if we click on our scroll view here, we're going to want to scroll down and add component. What we're looking for is script, and we are looking for character creation. Awesome. So see, we are looking for our prefab and our transform here. Our prefab is going to be the button that we created here, and the container is going to be content. So if we click play here, awesome, awesome, awesome. We see test and level 0. Let me go to the console. If I clear, and I click it, you can see we are getting C users, Davison app data, local load, Davison Inc., RPS, GISH, and mdev.test.data. So if I do want to go back to our folder here, and if we go to main hard drive, users, Davison, app data, local low, Davison Inc. Actually, what we'll do is I already created some, ignore the title of that, I was just doing some tests. I have some sample files I have here, so I'll just copy them and just paste them in here so you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we go back here and we click play, you see we only have 3 of them. Now, why is that? The problem is in scroll view, the height is not that big. So if we go to scroll view and we change the height to like 250, you see a little bit more. But you can now see that there's some coming off the window here. So like the top is coming off. So what we have to do is go to content and drag that down. You can see that white line right there. That's going to be where all of our contents end. You can see it's exceeding here, so we need to change the height here to maybe like 250. Kind of hard to see it, but it's right there. There's that white line. We want to scoot it there. And now it's going to be right up there. And it's going to come off a little bit down here, but it's fine. We save. And awesome. So we have all 5 levels here. We have to change the button. We can make it a little bit bigger, but that'll be done eventually. So the last thing I want to do here is, just because this looks a little boring, is I want to add a little skybox here on our camera. And that's very easy. If we go to our main camera, we want to do add components skybox. You see it's blank. There's currently just a default skybox. So if you go to the asset store, I did find this awesome asset that's free to use. If it ever wants to load here, we search for Earth and planets. It's a skybox. It's this first one right here. You can see that I've already downloaded it, but it is free. I'm just going to do an import here. And I'll be right back when it's done importing everything. On all the pop-up windows, you just want to do imports. Okay, so everything's done importing. So we're going to go back to scene. We're going to click on our main camera where the skybox is selected. And we'll see we have a few options here. We can see a preview down here. I kind of like maybe this one. And if we go to our game view, you can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and change the camera. We zoom in here, go out of 2D view, and we can tilt the camera how we want to view the skybox. You don't want to scoot it in or out because it won't really matter too much because that's not how skybox works. We can change where the camera is facing. You can kind of see, I kind of like this look, but if we click play, you see that it's a little too dark on our UI here. So we want to go ahead and go back to 2D view, click on our background, make it a little lighter. If we pull this out, like just click and drag it, you can pull it out like this. We'll just kind of make it a little bit smaller. Just as a quick little update about fixing this here, right here on the load game. If you want to do this, if you click on scroll view, you want to make sure we're anchoring this to the left here. So make sure it's middle left. It was for some reason on center. But we want to make sure it's middle left, and also just make sure like viewport is also centered left and everything. And you might want to, in your scene, move game down here. In your scene view, you just want to make sure when you have that new anchor to center left, you just scoot this over to where it's right beside that anchor and it's centered. So if we click play now, you'll see in our game, it's great here in this display. We go to 3.2, it's good. 16.9, that's great. 16.10, that's great. 5.4, that's great. It's centered here. We're gonna have to change this a little bit to be smaller, but we'll work on that when we get to that part of the video next time. But we can go ahead and change some colors. So like on our where is it? On our load game, which is underneath. So if we go to panel, which is underneath background, it's going to be affecting our load game here. Let's just click this little picker here and pick a color that looks like that and maybe make it a little bit lighter. I do want the panel to actually fill the screen, so do a height maybe like 800. So now that fills the screen. Until you like full screen it like that, that was kind of a disappointment. We're just going to go ahead and put the game back in here. We're just going to make it a little bit higher, but we'll do 1200. And until like even a full screen monitor, it will look a little bit different, but it's just temporary. You can see that text definitely needs to be renamed here. So the panel, underneath panel, we see text. We're going to change that color to white. So if we click play, looks a lot better now. So yeah, everything looks good here. Our panel here, it's gonna have to be a little bit bigger for larger monitors, but everything does look great here. So if we just click play, you're gonna see we're gonna be able to select our character, save level here, and it's showing up here. But in our next video, we're gonna want to start allowing the player to create their character over here. And we'll put some text. This is all just very temporary, just to make it look a little bit different. I don't know why I chose the space skybox. I don't think that's going to be the type of game I want exactly. I really don't know what type of game I want. I know it's going to be an RPG, but I haven't figured out the story or everything. This is just all the very much basics, just getting like the UI elements in and everything. Story and everything and abilities and everything are going to be coming soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. The next video is going to be a follow-up to this video. We're going to finally finish editing our character creation screen and moving over to this system. Just to note, if you have been testing your game and everything, you're going to be stuck on this level here. So just kind of be patient, maybe wait a few days before you actually do these things to your game, or make a backup of your game before you start doing this, just because this will break your game a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to be trying to get this out sooner, the next video, maybe in the next few days, just so you all can get this all fixed and fleshed out and everything. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you all for the subscriptions and everything on YouTube. It means a lot seeing all your all support. See you guys later.